Probably the most urgent problem that we face in our country today is unemployment. Recently, new figures came out and they tell us that unemployment is now 9.7%. That's a reduction from the recent figure of 10%. I really think that the difference is probably some 600,000 people who simply have given up looking for jobs. Job creation just isn't taking place. Something has to be done. Government has made effort to create jobs, but government never does. We had the stimulus money sent out, but it did very little to accomplish job creation. In fact, Governor Barber from Mississippi said the government basically forced into Mississippi $3.5 billion. It created some 500 jobs, which he said ended up being about $700,000 per job. That is really a disgrace. Where do jobs come from? Well, we know statistically that it's small business that creates most jobs. In fact, from 60 to 80% of all jobs are generated by small business, and the larger number in a time of economic downturn, and that's certainly where we are. If that's the case, shouldn't we be helping small business? Shouldn't we give them incentives? Shouldn't we not give them the aid that they need to move ahead and hire and create more jobs for people? How could we do that? Well, unfortunately, there is the threat of removing the tax cuts from 2001 and 2003. Those tax cuts need to be extended. As a matter of fact, they need to be made permanent. And then there is the threat of raising taxes on capital gains and dividends. Some people don't think that will necessarily hurt small business, but the small business operator will tell you it's going to take more money out of his pocket. And then there's the estate tax. It's a terrible tax, sometimes called the death tax. Congress just voted to extend the estate tax with these numbers. 3.5 million would serve as a level of exemption. In other words, there would be no tax on the first $3.5 million of an estate. However, there are many in small business who would have an estate much larger than that. And if you can imagine, the tax rate is going to be 45% of everything over that $3.5 million figure. That means if there's a $5 million estate and the owner passes away, the government is going to take $675,000 out of that business. I don't know of many small businesses that could handle that kind of loss in just a single act by government. These kinds of things have to be addressed. These kinds of things have to be dealt with by government. Now, there are other things as well. Regulation can be so difficult for small business to handle. Many regulations are outdated. Many regulations overlap. Many regulations, as you might imagine, are very complex and difficult to understand. Something needs to be done about regulations that are overly burdensome on small business. Imagine, if you will, a small business that has 20 or less employees. On average, that small business owner will have to pay some $8,000 per year per employee to meet those regulatory obligations. Something's wrong with that. And then, of course, health care is the issue of the day. But you know, so many times small businesses are not able to pull together and get better rates and better coverages. They are left to themselves, and when they have a small group, they have to often pay the higher rates and get lesser benefits. Jobs is a problem. We can do something about it, but we're going to have to face the reality of what needs to be done. Government simply cannot do it. Government funds projects, but when the project is over, the money is gone and the job is gone. If I have the opportunity to serve in Washington, I will work hard to help small business so that we can get our nation back on track again. Thanks very much for listening.